Pregame.tv breaking down some NFL. We're going to talk AFC North Division. Of course, everyone likes talking Johnny football in Cleveland. We're going to talk about the other three teams as well. The Bengals are the defending champions. Marvin Lewis loses both of his coordinators, including Zimmer, heading the great defensive coordinator to Minnesota. And I think the Bengals may be in for a tough time. Scott, your thoughts on the division?
Well, I'll start out with Baltimore, whose last I saw was 5-2. That was at LVH Westgate, and that was as of Monday of this week. When I look at the Ravens, and I keep thinking about what that offense has to do to get back to the level they were at in the playoffs 2 seasons ago. Of course, they missed the playoffs last year for the first time since John Harbaugh has been there. I'm not sure they've shored up any problems as far as being able to throw the ball deep downfield, and I think that makes them a little bit too easily to defend. So when I look at the Ravens and I'm saying, boy, how can they make that offense work? They go out and they get Gary Kubiak, and he says, we're going to base a lot of stuff off of screenplays. I thought it was great information for preseason week 1. You and I both used Baltimore, both won with Baltimore in week 1. And that's what they got to do. They've got to be able to screen teams that can't defend it a little bit quicker on the offensive blocking schemes than what the defense will bring. But you still have to be able to go deep. And I'm not so sure that this team has the ability to do that on a consistent basis. If they do, they can get back to the postseason. They can win this division. It's a big question mark for me.
Yeah, I think bringing in Steve Smith might be a year late on he's right at the point where he's going to regress, I think.
Exactly.
And I think, I don't know, whenever I look at this team, I think about that 4th and 29 against the Chargers on a screen pass. Yep. Strange call, but hey, it worked. Great.
Unfortunately, you know who I had.
great kicker that is going to win them a game. I know they won one game 18-16. Of course, that's against Detroit last year, and so that is going to happen. But I look at this in the draft. They kept drafting defense, and they needed offense, and I just don't think they got enough offense to win the division.
That's exactly what my thoughts were, is that I wanted to see. And again, Steve Smith, you're right. He's probably on the downhill turn now of his career, and they probably missed the boat by a season or two. And again, I'm not so sure that he can spread defenses the way they need him to going downfield. What can be helped out with Steve Smith as he gets a little bit older is because they're going to be so screen-based that it could have a couple of defenders cheating up if they're getting beat. The defense is a little bit early, which allows Smith to pick teams apart. But again, it's got to be against teams that maybe are lesser quality as far as their veteran leadership on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage is concerned, because if you're going up against teams that are set defensively in the NFL, you're going to have some problems building your deep pass off of screen passes.
Just have time for quick hitters. Cleveland Browns, season win 6.5. We go over or under?
Under. Got to go under, man. And I was breaking this down, Steve, and I'm looking at their schedule, and I'm thinking, there's an outside shot. This team could be 4-4 through their first 8 games, and I still like them under 6.5. I don't think the schedule plays out.
And you're optimistic about that.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I'm optimistic. I think if they can get by Tennessee in those first 5 games, they could be 1-4. After that, if you look at the schedule, it's not hard for 3 weeks. They could be 4-4, and still I'd have to say they stay under the total. I like Hoyer. Is he a starting quarterback? Probably not. I like Johnny Manziel's skill sets. The only thing wrong with Johnny Manziel in week 1 of the preseason, and it was because of his youth and his inexperience at the NFL level, was being a little bit too tardy on a few of his passing routes. Also, a couple of times he pulled the ball down and ran with it rather than waiting for a play to develop. That's something he'll learn. I was a little surprised. I thought his skill sets were better than I expected him to be right out of the gates.
Right. Pittsburgh Steelers, 8.5. The over's -140, -150. Been taking money. Agree with it?
Over. I like the over in this particular situation. I like what's going on the opposite side of the football for the Steelers. We know what we're going to get on defense. And just in a nutshell, I think this team wins at least 10 games, believe it or not. I'm sure there's some other people that have talked about this team making a deep playoff run, but I think 10 wins is being a little conservative.
And Bengals season win number 9, over or under?
Under. I think it's a rough situation for the Bengals. They gave Andy Dalton the big contract. It was going to be his final season of his rookie contract. Here's the problem with the Andy Dalton. Yeah, they've done well in winning one more game each year since he's been there. 9 wins, 10 wins. Last year, 11 wins. But I'm not sure that the team has the kind of confidence they need in him as a leader after what he's done in the playoffs a couple of times. We've seen a mess out of Andy Dalton in playoff situations. Not all his fault, but still he's not the leader they need. I think it's a bad season for Cincinnati, which means Marvin Lewis is probably out.
Very good. Well, I'm going to steal your pick for my free play here on the Cincinnati Bengals. Make it official. We're going to fade the Bengals here. All right, Cincinnati Bengals under 9 wins. I would not wait on this. I would grab it right now. Jones, their number 2 wide receiver. He is out for indeterminate amount of time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks with an injury. That means Sanu has to step up in the number 2 slot. I know they got great tight ends. They got A.J. Green, and I know Bernard's just a tremendous running back, all that skill set, but they're going to miss both of their coordinators. I think especially Zimmer. That defense is really going to suffer, and it's what's carried them the last few years. And scheduling dynamics, these teams play the Southern Division, so they get a break. They play the AFC South. They play the NFC South. That's going to be much better. No cupcakes anymore with Atlanta or Tampa Bay, but the real key here, the teeth of this, is that they got to play at New England and they got to play Denver, the 2 best teams in the AFC, while everyone else in the division gets to beat up on all the Kansas City, Jets, San Diego, Miami, Oakland, Buffalo. So they have a much, much, much more difficult schedule than everyone else. That will catch up to them. I love the under 9 wins for the Bengals. A downtrodden loser organization that hasn't won a playoff game in forever. No way you can justify them being 9 wins.
I'm going to throw in my Pittsburgh Steelers as the best team in that division, and I'm going to make all my Steubenville friends happy, Steve.
Plus 225.
There you go.
To win the bonus pick
Absolutely.
on plus 225. I love the Steelers, 8-8 the last 2 years, but they lost 11 games by 7 points or less, and not just so much last year, but the year before, they lost games against Oakland and Tennessee that they were like an 8-1 favorite in live wagering with 2 minutes to play. It's just unbelievable the way. It wasn't that they gave them away as much as the ball just bounced wrong.
It was and the thing is Mike Tomlin's taken some heat this offseason. I think there's extra motivation. He's actually like plus 800, plus 900 in a couple of books that are talking about the first AFC coach to be canned in 2014. That's not going to happen. This team would have to have a disaster for that to happen, but I think they get back on track. Healthy football team.
Very good. Well, it's great working with you. I'm looking forward to the entire season. I want to thank everyone for coming here. It's going to be an absolute season full of football videos. Obviously, when NBA starts, we'll start to do that. Baseball, ask Scott. But while we're here, and we're going to flip it, I think we're going to be hosts back and forth. We are the co-hosts. We're your Tuesday crew and doing our best to win for you. Thanks for tuning into us. Check back each and every week here all the way through the Super Bowl.